Broker Bulletin acknowledges the traditional custodians of all the lands across the country on which we record our podcast and pays its respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Welcome to the Broker Bulletin podcast, where better begins. Join us as we chat with brokers about what's working for them, what drives them, and the real challenges and wins that matter most right now.
Welcome back to the Broker Bulletin podcast. Change, it's one of those things that's both exciting but also terrifying at the same time. So whether it's shifting your business model, expanding your team, or just stepping outside your comfort zone, getting ready for change is such an important decision that needs to be made. So today we're talking about how to embrace change. What better person to come in and actually talk us through their business would be than Cara Haynes. So good to have you here, Cara. Welcome. And why don't you kick us off and tell us a bit about your team?
So I'm a loan market broker based in Brisbane. I have a team of myself, 2 full-time staff members here in the office, and then I also have a Manila support as well, who is 50% for me and 50% with another broker.
That's interesting how you got your team spread across both. How long have you had team onshore and offshore for, Cara?
5 years. And I must preface that sharing someone offshore must be done with the right person.
Yep.
I'm very, very fortunate to share her with a very, very close friend of mine who's also in the loan market network. So it just has worked really well for us for the last 5 years. And we tend to work in different markets. So when I'm busy, the other business is not as busy and vice versa. We've just been extremely lucky. I think we were one of the first people to try it and it's worked for us. And she's fabulous. One of my other staff members has been also with me 5 years last week.
Yep.
And another one who's just recently joined us in the last few weeks.
Let's unpack a couple of things around change. From a practical perspective, what changes have you made in the business over the last 12 months that have really been impactful and made a shift for your business and helped you continue to grow?
Probably the biggest change for me has been my own mindset, because ultimately I am the producer in the business. And when you're enjoying what you do, everything else comes pretty organically. So I definitely stayed in a bit of a bubble post-COVID with my young children and just really embraced that and kept doing what I was doing, but I probably was a little tapped out in the sense. So yeah, in the last 12 months, I've really shifted that I want to be growing. I want to change the business and sort of change that status quo, because I've been with loan market for almost 13 years. So it was just time for me to go, hey, actually, I know I've got all the right skills and let's try and just put it all together and really focus on the business and see what happens.
What was you holding you back and what created the shift over the last 6 to 12 months?
It was time. I've got an almost 7-year-old and almost 9-year-old. So it was just that stepping out, they stopped wanting me around as much, and probably my own, I guess, mum guilt, which I'm sure we can all relate to, some kind of parenting guilt.
Yep.
But yeah, so it was just sort of like, okay, now it's time for me to really do what I want to do and let them do their thing and I'll do my thing. And it just happened that way. And obviously you need your family to be on board with that. You know, we're a family business, right? And so if you don't have the support of your family, your spouse or whatnot, it's going to be hard.
Talk to me about, so I love that. So the key change for you over the last 6 months was around shifting your mindset. So I get that. What about learnings? Like sometimes we look back on where we've made mistakes and we've learned from it. So if you look back, where have you shifted? Like what mistakes have you made and how has that made you a better leader in your business?
Oh, look, I'm making mistakes all the time, but I think as a leader, you just have to own it. It's constantly me owning that I've stuffed up in the office. Constantly. We're always just unpacking things as well of like, hey, we've not done this before. Even saying to the girls, hey, I've never led a team before. If I'm not doing something right, can you tell me?
How did that go down?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But more just putting it back onto them too, going, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm doing my best. But if you don't tell me, like it's a two-way street. If you don't tell me something's up, then I may not know, and vice versa. So yeah, so I think if we're talking about practical mistakes, I make mistakes all the time, and then we'll usually as a team regroup and go, okay, where did this go wrong? How do we make sure this doesn't happen again? Or are we happy to make that mistake? Is that a tolerable mishap? But generally speaking, look, I can't even think of everything that's sort of, like I said before, like when you're in that good mindset, everything happens organically.
Yeah.
And so far, like nothing, I think just listening to your gut and going, hey, does this feel right? And we want this. Like when you go, I want to grow or I want to change, Everything else, you've just got to trust your instincts to go, yep, cool. Is this the right direction? Or cutting it short of going, if it's feeling like it was a mistake or feeling like it could be a mistake, listening to your own intuition and cutting it off early.
Do you know what I've also heard there, though, is I think a number of business owners would understand this, is you've created a safe environment, or you've created a business of attraction. And where I'm going with this is the way you said learnings or mistakes in the business, you've actually created an environment where the team help you identify what the challenges are and we all improve it together. That's outstanding. And has that been a real game changer, like getting the team's buy-in, getting the team all aligned to sort of where the business is going? Like, has that really shifted the mindset internally?
We've definitely had a conversation around, it's one thing to set targets for growth.
You get them to buy in that, Cara? Like, are they involved with your setting your strategy and your targets?
Yeah. So we've actually said to them, like, we tell them how much we need to be running on upfront, which we've sort of identified through that Elevate program, of going, well, this is what we need to achieve in order for us to cover our costs. And anything on top of that, we actually put them into some targets and performance bonuses and things like that.
Yep.
It's not just we're going, hey, we want to settle $10 million a month as this target. And then they're like, hang on, no one consulted me about that. So it's really as a team going, hey, this is what we want to do. This is what I think we can do. Are we on board? Are there any concerns? And rewarding them if we achieve it.
Yeah, I love that. And is that only internally? Like, if you look at being vulnerable, asking for help, admitting when something isn't working or taking a risk, what are the game changers, or how have you surrounded yourself with good people to be able to help you with those decisions as well?
Well, Elevate's been amazing to actually come into a room every month and workshop where you've got these key issues, or going, oh, I thought I was doing it right by doing it this way, and then hearing what all these other brokers have to say about a certain approach, or even if it's like loan reviews or how to service a client or following up a lead. I realized I just wasn't following up leads nearly as ferociously as counterparts. And I went, oh, okay, let's go. Those sorts of things. Like, that was really cool to get people to share their ideas, but as well be vulnerable and going, hey, I'm not very good at this. Can you help? So outside of the monthly catch-ups that we all had, a chat group that we can go, hey guys, I'm really struggling with this. Can someone share how they work? Or being able to phone someone who you wouldn't normally workshop stuff with. Like, certainly we all know brokers in our area or in our sort of wheelhouse, but to have brokers from completely outside and have a different lens was really cool.
Was that a shift? Like, before that, were you leaning on other businesses in the past where you'd bounce off each other to get better? Or has that been, with you sort of shifting your mindset over the last 12 months, was that a conscious decision to surround yourself with good people that were going to challenge you to get better?
It wasn't necessarily a conscious decision. It was purely just more a bunch of people who all wanted to be growing. Instead of having, every broker's got a different stage of life, right? Of where they're at in their career, whether they want to spend more time with family or they're looking to retire, or life happens.
Yeah.
And so I think to come together with a bunch of people that all have committed to growth despite whatever's going on in their life, are going, no, I'm growing and I'm changing. And it's really experienced brokers to relatively newer players. Like, everyone's there going, no, we're all hunting for that same growth and we've got that hunger. I think that was just really cool to connect with people that you wouldn't normally just have exposure to because of geography. Isn't
that funny? Yeah, like, I wonder how important that is to make sure that like attracts like. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be surrounded with people who've got similar interests. In your respect, was identifying 8 or 10 business owners that were all aggressive and focused on growth and focused on getting better. That's probably helped you with getting your mindset right and really driving change in the business.
When we've got loan market and PCF and things like that, to have businesses from all across, there were some loan market businesses, there were some BYOB businesses, and everyone's got then their history of their broker journey before that, be it banking or other aggregations and that sort of thing. So that was a really cool wealth of knowledge to go, hey, when we were at Rams or when we were at the bank or when we were at Connective or whatever, this is how we did it and it worked for us because of X, Y, and Z.
Let me talk to you, like, we look at the industry and you look at how much it's evolved over the last 2 years. And I think one of the biggest challenges businesses have is staying up or staying sort of at top of their game in a changing environment. Can we look at adapting to change without being overwhelmed? How do you manage that? Do you want to share that with us as well? Gosh,
I've always been changing. I love change in a way. I think you've got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think that's it, because you know, like through Elevate, you're definitely going to have MK going, why haven't you done this? Yeah, it's been a year of discomfort.
Yeah.
And the more uncomfortable you are, the easier it gets. That's been really groundbreaking for me to be able to come on a podcast or things like that I would normally say a year ago. I would have said absolutely not. Please never ask me again.
You love podcasts.
But it's a total shift for me in the last year that I've been willing to be a little bit more front and center and realize I am the product and all of that sort of thing. So everything's uncomfortable. Everything has changed, but you just go, okay, well, I got through last week. This week's no different. Let's just keep going. It's just been comfortable to be uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. And can I say, it's been wonderful to see your growth over the last 6 to 12 months. Hey, let me ask you this.
Thank you.
Say we've got like Cara from 2-3 years ago listening in the podcast, and Cara knows she needs to change, but it's hard. So if you were going to provide advice back to Cara, what are the first steps she needs to make to be able to make change?
I think you've got to want it for yourself.
Yeah.
Not listen to anyone else, not want to change because I think for years there was growth was the big buzzword through loan market for so many years. And I was constantly going, I don't want to grow. I'm happy where I am. And that was fine for that time in my life.
Yeah.
But I think it's more just going, well, what do I want? Do I want this? Because if you say I'm going to grow, but you don't believe it yourself, then you're going to sabotage it some way, shape or form. Like even if you smash it, it's going to feel really, really uncomfortable. Like you're working against yourself if you don't truly want it. So I think it's finding out, what do you want? What does success look like for you in your brokerage and embracing that? And then all the other stuff is just peripheral fluff. There's numbers and there's, settlements and lodgements and there's profit and there's revenue and all these things. But the industry is just full of so much noise that you've got to decide what the success look like for you and commit to that.
Broker Bulletin, it's all about finding the 1%ers. So what's the 1%ers that will make a big shift in someone's business today? What's the one thing you do every day that has had the biggest impact on your performance over the last 12 months?
It's probably still mindset. Going back to that, it's finding the joy in, I've been a massive advocate for all the leading ladies events. I love that stuff. Finding what sort of leader do you want to be? What mindset do you want to get in every morning? Exercising, stretching, whatever gets you going, like figure out what it is that really gets you back into that frame of mind. Is it a certain song that you play that just reminds you, okay, this is what I'm doing and this is, I want this, even if it's a crazy day, you're like, actually, I wanted this.
Yep.
This is what I asked for. That for me, it's been, if you don't start your day right, if you turn up to work and go, I hate this, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this, then that's just going to set you up poorly. It's going to flow through to your clients, all of that. If you turn up going, I feel good, I'm going to have fun today, that goes through to your clients and then they want to be around you and that becomes that business of attraction.
That is so good. And you're right, because that also reflects down onto your team.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well. And is that why colour coding your diary or making sure that you're really clear on where you're spending your time to make sure you got your balance right? Is that why that's important?
Absolutely. It's that reminder of going, hey, you've still got to do all these things every day to get the results, because ultimately that hustling now is going to show in 3, possibly even 6 months. It's amazing how many people call and go, oh, we met 12 months ago and now we're ready, or those sorts of things. So, but if you're the most memorable person they spoke to 12 months ago, well, then happy days. But if you're disengaged and you're meeting clients and you're doing the motion, like you're going through the motions, but you're having the conversations but not actually having the conversations, that's where I reckon it's not going to prove so good for you. The clients, can feel that through your voice and through your energy in the meeting.
Now, you can't throw this out without sharing it. So you said you listen to your song in the morning that motivates you. So I can't let that go to Cuba. So and please, I'm nervous it's going to be a Metallica song or something quite aggressive. So what's your song?
Look, it does depend on my mood. If I'm packaging loans, it's Foo Fighters, Best of You. For some reason, it's just a bit angry.
Yeah, good to see.
I love listening to Lizzo About Damn Time.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. A real assortment. So that's very good. So, hey, if I take stock, if I go back to a couple of key takeouts, there was so many. A couple of key sort of 1%ers that stood out for me was that whole shift to mindset was really important to you. And I think, you know how you're talking about surrounding yourself with like-minded brokers, that also complemented and helped your mindset shift, like when you surround yourself with the right people.
You're just living and breathing it.
And the last thing I was going to say is I love how you also articulated every time we're in front of a customer or a staff member, you want to be memorable. You know what I mean? And it's a positive experience because that's actually going to ensure they engage and they come back and there's an opportunity down the track. I love that. So how about we wrap it up there? Thanks so much for making the time today. Love spending time with you. You know that. I don't need to tell you.
Thanks, MK.
You're more than welcome. And have a great rest of the day. And thank you as always, Cara.
Thanks, mate. Speak soon.
Thanks for tuning in to Broker Bulletin. We would hate for you to miss an episode. Subscribe to Broker Bulletin in your favourite podcast app. Has this episode been helpful? We'd love you to rate and review us. It'll help us deliver content that's useful to you and help others discover us. If you have great ideas for topics worth tackling or have burning questions you'd like addressed on an upcoming episode, reach out. Links in the show notes. See you next time.